Well, hi, Booktube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. I wanted to come to you with a video today. This could be a response video. I was watching KD Books, and he did a video called How to Start Reading Books. And I wanted to, throw my hat in the ring, throw my opinion in. I do not typically do these type of videos. Sometimes I feel that I am not professional enough to give professional advice. But in this case, I think I can add to the equation. I think I can add in here. I totally agree or mostly agree with everything he said in the video. And the premise of his video in this How to Start Reading Books was, first of all, he is a book reviewer. He reads all the time. I believe, if I understood what he was saying, he reads all the time, and he always gets asked the question, how do I start reading? And that is a question that I get asked a lot. And I know there's several other people on Booktube that get asked that question. How do I get started? Or just the simple, how do you read so much? And, I look at people like Steve Donahue and Peg at the History Shelf and KD Books, and I look at these people and I think, man, they read so much. They read way more than I do. And I still get that question. And I'm a slow reader, so I don't necessarily finish nearly as many books as they finish. But with that being said, I do put a lot of time in reading. And that's why I think I can add to this discussion. So anyway, like I said, he started off and he was talking about, just that question of how do you read so much, or how do I start reading so that I can make it a habit like you do? And he gave basically three big opinions or three pieces of advice to help get started and to help make a habit of this. And one of the things that he really centered in on in his video was aim small, or aim for short books. And this is probably a pretty good piece of advice. He talked about the issue of picking up a 1,000-page book. Don't do that. If you pick up a 1,000-page book and you're not an everyday reader, you're going to get bogged down and you're going to quit. You're going to get mad at yourself, depressed about, why can't I get through this in a shorter time? And that's very typical. And I totally agree with that. I would agree. Pick shorter books. Now, he really, really aimed in on his with picking novellas or 100-page books, 100 to 120-page books. I don't know if we necessarily need to, this is something I maybe disagree with a little bit. I don't know if we necessarily need to go to that small of books. Not that it's a bad thing to do. If you like novellas and you like those really short stories, go for it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But there's also, in my opinion, nothing wrong with picking up a 300-page, 350-page book, which is your typical fiction book that you find on the shelf at Walmart or Target. And some of those authors write stories that move along very quickly in their pace. And I would say that that's probably a good thing to do too, is find, it's a shorter book with a quick narrative. That will help you get through the book. It'll help you not want to put the book down. And so that's something I would add in. I totally agree with KD Books where he says, don't start with mammoths, which are like 800 pages or more. Do not pick up a 1,000-page book and expect to get through it. If you're not a regular reader, you're probably not going to do that. And also he mentioned don't start with classics. I would also agree with that, because if you are not used to the way that the language was spoken back in the time period of the classic, you're probably going to struggle with it. I'm a pretty avid reader, and I still struggle with some of that stuff. So I totally agree with him in that respect. He mentioned, pick books that take little effort to get you through them. So, those novellas, those real small ones. He also made the statement, finishing the book is all that matters. I struggle with that, but I understand what he's trying to say. I believe he was trying to say, build up confidence. Get through some books just to build up your confidence. but at the same time, you don't want to go through a book just to get through it. You want to go through a book because you enjoy the book, because it was fun to get through. So that's something I may disagree with him just a little bit. And he also mentioned, read some books that you have no idea about. Don't pick something that you've seen the movie. Pick something that's totally new. And his reasoning, and I totally get what he's saying, and I agree with him, is his reasoning is if you already have seen the movie or you know the general plot line, then you are more apt to, your focus will catch you staring out the window, looking at the tree branches swaying and the leaves blowing in the wind. You're going to space off because you already are pretty in tune to what's going on. You want to pick something that is new to you, and I get that. That's a pretty good piece of advice. He also mentioned, going to the library. Don't go buy a bunch of new books. Go to the library, get a library card, and do it for free to start with. You don't want to buy a bunch of books and A, you don't become a reader, and B, you don't enjoy them. You want to make sure that when you start to build your library, that you want to get books that you enjoy, and you also want to make sure that you enjoy reading. So, get the stuff that's free or very, very, very low cost. So he also said that it's probably going to be a struggle for you if you set a page goal per day. And I agree with him on this because certain books read at different paces. And if you say, well, I'm going to read 25 pages a day, one book, 25 pages might be just like that. It might, you might get done with 25 pages in half an hour, but another book, 25 pages might take you 2.5 hours. And if you're on that second side of things where it's taking you 2.5 hours, you might not want to read again. And so don't set your goals at page counts. I would say set your goals at like a time frame. And I'll come back to that in just a second. Let's see here. So his big 3 things he mentioned was aim small and finish. Number 2, spend little money or no money. And number 3, he thinks make sure it's a novella. And so what I would like to add into that is make sure that when you are picking your topics, that you pick a genre that you like. You definitely need to start with a genre you like. So if you're stepping into reading for the first time, you should probably think about what TV shows do I watch? What is the main genre of TV shows? Because if you're spending a lot of time watching TV on Law and Order, you're probably going to like legal stuff, legal thrillers. If you're watching mysteries, then you need to find mystery books. If you're watching a lot of sports, find some sports biographies. There's some great ones out there. But the main point is, pick something that you already know you have an interest in, and you are probably going to be more apt to pick that book up and continue reading. So just think about, what do you watch on TV? That's going to help you in guiding the genre that you pick. One of the other, probably the biggest thing that I would definitely recommend, and when I watched some of these, there were some of these videos that went on earlier in the year, maybe it was at the end of last year, I don't know, in the last few months, that were talking about how to start reading books, or how to read more. Maybe that was the book, or the Booktube video I'm thinking of, how to read more. But they talked about the big thing, if you want to read more, or if you just want to start reading, is to carve out time. We all lead busy schedules, so you can't use that as an excuse. You have to carve out a specific time frame in the day where you can sit down and read and have no distractions. And along with that, shut off all your devices, your phone, or put them in another part of the room, or the house. Shut off your devices, shut off the TV, shut off the computer, shut off all the things that would be a distraction. Okay? Shut those down so that you can focus on that reading. And carve out a piece of time during your day where you will not get bothered. So I know a lot of you have kids out there. I have kids. And my 5-year-old likes to come climb in my lap, whether there's a book sitting in front of me or not. She doesn't really care. So I had to carve out time for myself to read, a time where I know she's not awake. I picked time where she was in bed. And so I am an early morning person. So my reading time is 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. or 4 a.m. to 5:45, right about in there. And so I carved out that chunk of time for myself so that I could sit down, I could focus, I could read, drink my coffee while I'm reading, and get engrossed in the book. And that really helped me set that habit. Now, does that mean I do it every single day? No, but I do it most days. There's usually one day in the week where my mind is kind of, going 90 mile an hour and I can't focus, and I might take that morning time and maybe watch YouTube videos instead. But the point is, 6 out of those 7 days I am reading. And I try very hard to make sure that I am focusing on my reading so that I can get my reading done, because I don't know if I'll get any more during the day. I fall asleep at night, so that doesn't work for me. But maybe you're like my wife. My wife's a late night person. She's a night owl, and she can stay up till 2:30 in the morning reading, or watching TV, or reading a magazine, or whatever. If I was recommending to her and she was wanting to set these habits, I'd say, hey, do it at night when you are already, everybody's in bed, you're by yourself, you can carve out that time. And along with this same idea, don't carve out a 2-hour time period. If you're a first-time, person coming to reading for the first time or trying to set habits, I would start small. Start with a small block of time. My kids at school, we tell them they have to read for 20 minutes. That's their SSR time, their sustained silent reading, where there's nothing else going on but reading whatever book they want to read. And the idea behind that is to get them exposed to more reading and to set habits of where they want to read. And it's generally very successful. Start with a 20 to 30 minute block of time. Start with a small block of time, and then as you get better at it, you can increase that to 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever works for you. And I know some people's schedules are busier than others, so you might not be able to get a full 2 hours in. Keep in mind, I lose sleep doing this. I am, my sleep time is limited because I'm choosing to read instead. So you're going to have to, it's not like you can add hours to the day. You're going to have to give up something to get something else. There's a compromise happening here. And so I give up some of my sleep in order to get my reading in. And for me, it's relaxing. Maybe not as relaxing as sleep, but it is relaxing for me. So let's see here. Oh, and the last piece of advice I might give you is maybe you're somebody that needs to be held accountable. Find a reading buddy. Find a book group, and pick a book in the group that everybody wants and read. That way you guys are all, you're talking about, you're having conversations about the book. And I know I struggle sometimes with finishing a book because I just don't have anybody to talk to about it. They don't want to listen to me because they are not into whatever it is I'm reading. And so that can make it tough to finish a book. So get some reading partners. Make yourself accountable to other people. Now, sometimes accountability to some people makes them want to, push away from that. So if that's an issue you have, don't do a buddy read. Don't do a group read. So anyway, this is my advice on how to start reading books. Again, I'm responding to KD Books' video. I agree mostly with everything he was saying in that. I just wanted to add in a couple pieces of advice from myself. So remember, pick a genre that you enjoy. Think about what's on TV and what you watch mostly on TV, and then go for that same genre in your books. Carve out a time that is uninterrupted. That is the key. Uninterrupted time. Pick a smaller book. Don't pick a 1,000-page mammoth. Pick a smaller book and go use your local library. You don't need to spend a ton of money on this, especially if you're trying to start the habit, because you don't know if the habit's going to stick. So shorter books, spend little money, pick a genre you like, carve out that time, and then just start reading. No more excuses. Just start reading. So I hope this is helpful for you if you are somebody who's wanting to start reading habits. So thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And until next time, Booktube, happy reading.